Father Knows Best was a role model for many American families. Many people through my lifetime have come up to me and said,
when mentioning Father Knows Best, 1954, people often immediately picture the perfect Anderson family. A father who always knows everything, a gentle and capable mother, and obedient, lovable children. The show was not just a television program, but also a symbol of the ideal American family dream of the 1950s. However, behind its glamorous exterior lies shocking behind-the-scenes stories that few people know about. From a secret episode created for US government propaganda, to America's dad Robert Young's battle with depression, to the controversial personal scandals of the cast, Father Knows Best is truly a treasure trove of bizarre, dark, and unbelievable stories. Don't worry, we've compiled every strange detail from humorous tidbits to the most shocking secrets. Get ready to uncover 20 surprising facts about this legendary show. 20. Robert Young, the perfect dad on screen, a tragic life in reality. Robert Young, who portrayed the exemplary father, Jim Anderson, was beloved by audiences for his calm understanding and wise demeanor on screen. However, his real life was the complete opposite of this idealized image. For over 45 years, Robert Young struggled with severe depression and alcoholism, two issues he worked hard to hide from the public. The success of Father Knows Best brought Young fame, but it also made him feel trapped in the role that defined him. He couldn't escape the pressure of maintaining his image as America's dad, which only exacerbated his mental health struggles. In January 1991, while his physical health deteriorated due to Alzheimer's and heart issues, Young attempted suicide, but was fortunately saved. After this turning point, Robert Young transformed his life, becoming a passionate advocate for mental health awareness. He helped pass legislation in Illinois to fund mental health support programs, leaving a legacy of hope and change for others. 19. The US government once used Father Knows Best for secret propaganda.
Brought to you by the United States Treasury Department, in patriotic cooperation with...
It's hard to believe, but Father Knows Best, an iconic family show, was once used as a political propaganda tool by the US government. In 1959, the US Treasury Department commissioned a special episode titled 24 Hours in Tyrant Land. Instead of the usual everyday family stories, this episode placed the Anderson family in a fictional scenario, living under a dictatorship. The episode aimed to convey the value of freedom and encourage citizens to buy government bonds as an act of patriotism. Interestingly, this episode was never broadcast on television like regular episodes. Instead, it was shown in schools, churches, and local communities as part of a Cold War-era propaganda campaign. After being lost for many years, the episode was eventually rediscovered and included as a bonus feature in the DVD release of the first season. A family program turned into a political tool. This is truly a unique and rare occurrence in television history. 18. Billy Gray was arrested for marijuana. Billy Gray, also known for his role as the ideal son. Bud Anderson shattered his perfect image with a classic scandal. In 1962, while driving, Billy Gray was pulled over by the police. The result? They discovered a small bag of marijuana under his car seat. Billy admitted it was just a few seeds and stems he forgot to return to a friend, but that didn't save his career. At the time, marijuana was a taboo subject in American society, especially for someone associated with the image of a perfect son on screen. After the incident, Gray was mercilessly attacked by the media, and producers quickly removed him from projects. Even when he appeared in a minor film in 1971 as a drug dealer critic, Leonard Maltin mistakenly believed Gray was a real-life drug dealer. From a promising actor, Billy Gray became a name Hollywood no longer wanted to mention. A painful downfall indeed. 17. Lauren Chapin became a victim of abuse and addiction. Lauren Chapin won audiences' hearts with her role as adorable Kathy Anderson, often referred to by her nickname Kitten. But Chapin's real life was a heartbreaking tragedy. After the show ended in 1960, Chapen was only 15 years old and was typecast as the innocent little girl, making it impossible for her to find new roles. Family problems, including sexual abuse by her own father, drove her into addiction. Lauren started with alcohol and marijuana, then moved on to heroin. To support herself and her addiction, she was forced into prostitution. At one point, she was held captive by a heroin dealer and forced to work for him. At the peak of her despair, Chapin attempted to slit her wrists in a panic attack. However, unlike many other tragic stories, Chapin found light through religion. She became an inspirational figure, sharing her story to help others facing similar struggles. 16. The Anderson family home was reused from older movies. Do you think the cozy Anderson family home was built specifically for Father Knows Best? Not at all. This house originally appeared in the Blondie movies from the 1940s and was simply recycled for this iconic show. But the house didn't stop there. After Father Knows Best ended, it was reused in numerous other famous shows like Dennis the Menace, Bewitched, and especially I Dream of Jeannie. Each time it appeared, it was transformed slightly to fit the new setting, but sharp-eyed viewers could still recognize it. Unfortunately, the legendary house was demolished in 2023, closing an 82-year chapter in the history of one of Hollywood's most used sets. A true symbol not just of Father Knows Best, but of the entire American entertainment industry. 15. One of the first shows to use a laugh track. Have you ever wondered why the laughter in Father Knows Best seems so perfect? Were there live audiences on set? Not at all. In fact, Father Knows Best was one of the pioneering shows to use a laugh track, a highly innovative emotion-hacking technology at the time. Charles Douglas, the genius behind this invention, created the laugh box, a massive machine likened to a dishwasher. This machine contained numerous recordings of real audience laughter from live shows. Douglas could adjust the volume intensity and even types of laughter from light chuckles to hearty guffaws. This allowed producers to easily add a cheerful atmosphere to scenes even when no one was actually laughing. With this technology, Father Knows Best not only became more lively, but also set a new trend in the television industry. Today, laugh tracks are often criticized as fake, but back then they were truly revolutionary. 14. Hiding Elinor Donahue's pregnancy. When Elinor Donahue, the eldest daughter Betty Anderson, unexpectedly became pregnant during the third season, the production team immediately faced a major challenge: how to hide her baby bump when her character was still a teenager. Thus, a series of creative tricks were employed. From dressing Donahue in oversized coats, placing her behind tables, or large props to having her carry items like books or handbags. The crew did everything to distract viewers. In some scenes, Betty was even arranged to appear briefly, just enough to deliver a few lines before disappearing. However, sharp-eyed viewers could still notice the change, especially in an episode titled Grandpa Retires, where her bump was more noticeable than usual. Nevertheless, the team handled the situation skillfully, and Donahue completed her role brilliantly without affecting the overall storyline. A remarkable achievement during a time when digital post-production was a distant dream. 13. The kitchen on set was fully functional.
What's that?
The water heater! Oh no! My grasshopper! My grasshopper!
It might sound strange, but the kitchen in Father Knows Best wasn't just a set, it was fully functional. While most sets at the time used fake props to save costs, the producers of Father Knows Best decided to invest in a real kitchen equipped with working appliances, including an oven gas stove and refrigerator. They even used the kitchen to bake cookies and brew coffee every morning, bringing warmth and comfort to both the cast and crew. The refrigerator on set wasn't just a decoration. It was actually used to store snacks for the crew during long filming days. To enhance realism, the kitchen was decorated with red wallpaper, blue countertops, and white cabinets. Subtle details viewers couldn't fully appreciate on black and white screens. This attention to detail showcased the production team's dedication to creating authenticity in every scene. 12. Jane Wyatt never did housework. Jane Wyatt built the image of a perfect mother on screen with her tidy hair, elegant dresses, and high heels. But in real life, Wyatt was nothing like Margaret Anderson. In a later interview, Wyatt admitted she never vacuumed or cooked at home. In fact, she laughed while saying, "I've never worn pearls to do housework because I don't do housework." Instead, Wyatt was a busy actress who spent most of her time on set rather than at home. Born into a wealthy family, Wyatt grew up with household help and never had to deal with chores. She openly shared that if she had to stay at home as a housewife like Margaret, she would have gone crazy. But this stark contrast between her real life and her character only made audiences love her more. Wyatt turned an unrealistic ideal into a relatable, familiar, and memorable character for millions of American families. 11. The radio version was darker and more sarcastic. If you only know Father Knows Best from the TV version, you might be surprised to learn about its radio version. Before the show made its way to television, it existed as a radio program from 1949 to 1954. But don't expect a gentle understanding. America's Dad. In this version, Jim Anderson on the radio was a completely different character. This version of Jim was often irritable, sarcastic, and made remarks that would likely be heavily criticised today. He didn't hesitate to call his kids stupid or bluntly tell them to go jump in the lake. This biting humour was common on radio at the time, but when the show transitioned to television, Robert Young insisted on a complete rewrite. He wanted to create a warm parental figure who brought families together rather than tearing them apart. This change not only saved the show from failure, but also turned Father Knows Best into a cultural icon. A bold and successful transformation. 10. The show was cancelled twice before succeeding. Father Knows Best wasn't a hit right from the start. In fact, the show was cancelled not once but twice before finding its place in viewers' hearts. When it first aired on CBS in 1954, the show was slotted on Sunday nights at 10 p.m. A terrible time for a family show. Children had to go to bed early for school, and parents weren't inclined to watch TV late. The result? Abysmal ratings with sponsor Kent Cigarettes pulling out and CBS cancelling the show after just 13 episodes. But surprisingly, fans loved the show so much that they sent thousands of letters demanding its return. NBC listened and decided to rescue the series, moving it to a more family-friendly time slot in 1955. Miraculously, the show's viewership skyrocketed. However, in 1958, NBC made another mistake and cancelled the show again. Fortunately, CBS quickly seized the opportunity, bringing Father Knows Best back and keeping it on air until its grand finale in 1960. A rollercoaster journey, but one that ultimately secured the show's immortality in the hearts of its audience. 9. A grueling work schedule. Behind the smiles and warm moments on screen, the cast of Father Knows Best endured an incredibly grueling work schedule. They faced a relentless routine that was almost unimaginable. Each week, the crew worked 6 days straight, with each day stretching up to 12 hours. The schedule began on Monday with script rehearsals. Wednesday through Friday were for principal filming, and any unfinished scenes were completed on Saturday. Director Peter Tewksbury, who oversaw most of the episodes, was known for being a perfectionist. He made the cast rehearse every detail repeatedly, From how to hold a coffee cup to the way they sat down on chairs, everything had to look natural. Elinor Donahue. Betty once shared that they even rehearsed how to spread butter on bread to make it look like a real family. While the final product on screen was flawless, the grueling schedule left the cast exhausted. Nevertheless, they stuck with the show out of a belief that quality would be rewarded, and they were right. 8. The director judged success by tears. In the world of television, a scene's success is usually judged by technical factors or audience reactions. But for Father Knows Best, success was measured by the tears of director William Russell. He had a unique habit. If a scene made him cry after yelling cut, it was a sure sign of success. Robert Young, Jim Anderson, and the other cast members quickly picked up on this, and even joked that Russell's tears were the gold standard for any emotional scene. After every take, the crew would sneak a glance at Russell to see if his eyes were red. If they were, they knew they had nailed it. While this might sound unusual, Russell's sensitivity contributed to the authentic and heartfelt atmosphere that made viewers feel like they were part of the Anderson family. When Russell left the show after 62 episodes, Peter Tewksbury took over as director. Although Tewksbury had a different approach, the emotional legacy Russell left behind remained a hallmark of the series. 7. The Anderson family's real address was 607 South Maple Street. Most 1950s family sitcoms avoided specifying exact locations so viewers could imagine the story taking place anywhere. But Father Knows Best broke this norm by setting the Anderson family in Springfield, Illinois, with a specific address, 607 South Maple Street. This added a layer of realism and made the Andersons feel more relatable to American audiences. Springfield was a clever choice because it's symbolic and widespread. Nearly every US state has a town named Springfield. But the most fascinating detail, Matt Groening, creator of The Simpsons, confirmed that the Springfield in his show was inspired by the one in Father Knows Best. Though the two families live in completely different worlds, one perfect, the other chaotic, this shared address created a unique connection between two television legends. 6. Jane Wyatt received more fan mail from Star Trek. For an actress who spent 6 years building the image of the ideal mother Margaret Anderson, it's hard to believe that a one-episode role in Star Trek brought Jane Wyatt more attention than her entire career on Father Knows Best. In 1967, Wyatt appeared in the episode Journey to Babel as Amanda Grayson Spock's mother. The role immediately became legendary in the sci-fi community. Wyatt not only brought depth to the character, but also highlighted the complexities of a mother-son relationship between a human woman and her half-Vulcan child. After the episode aired, Wyatt received thousands of letters from Star Trek fans worldwide, more than during any other point in her career. This admiration only grew when she reprised the role in the 1986 film Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. A brief role, but one that far exceeded expectations and proved that sometimes a short moment can leave a lasting legacy. 5. The show didn't fully reflect 1950s family reality. The Anderson family in Father Knows Best was celebrated as the symbol of the ideal 1950s family. But the truth, it was far from reality. The show portrayed a world where problems were always resolved neatly. Within 30 minutes, family members loved each other unconditionally, and the father always knew the right thing to do. However, such families were almost non-existent in real life. Even the main cast didn't live perfect lives like their characters. Robert Young, Jim Anderson struggled with depression and alcoholism. Lauren Chapin, Kathy endured abuse and addiction, and Billy Gray Budd had his career ruined by a marijuana arrest. Father Knows Best was truly a dreamlike image, an illusion of the ideal family. While real-life families faced far more challenges and hardships. Audiences loved the show, because it provided a sense of safety and hope, but this very quality also made it a symbol of idealized nostalgia for an era that wasn't as perfect as it seemed. 4. The theme song had lyrics but was never used. Have you noticed that the theme song for Father Knows Best sounds familiar but feels like it's missing something? That's because the song titled Waiting actually had lyrics, but the version you hear on TV is instrumental. The song was composed by Don A. Ferris and Irving Friedman, with lyrics that were gentle and heartfelt, perfectly matching the family spirit of the show. However, the producers decided not to include the lyrics in the broadcast version, believing they might distract viewers from the opening scenes. Instead, they opted for the instrumental version to keep the focus on the characters and story. Interestingly, while the lyrics were never aired, fans of the show can find the full version on some classic TV soundtrack albums released later. A minor detail, but it makes you wonder, would the inclusion of lyrics have changed how viewers felt about the show? 3. Jim Anderson, one of the 50 greatest TV dads. Jim Anderson wasn't just the ideal father of the Anderson family. He became a cultural icon for generations. In 2004, TV Guide ranked the character 6th on its list of the 50 greatest TV dads of all time. What made Jim Anderson so special? It was the perfect combination of calmness, intelligence, and patience qualities every real-life father aspired to have. While he sometimes made mistakes, Jim always knew how to learn from them and make things right, creating an image of a national dad who was both relatable and admirable. However, Robert Young, who portrayed Jim, wasn't happy about being identified with the character. He once said, "I'm not Jim Anderson, but audiences can't accept that." Regardless, Jim Anderson remains a legend in television history, a father figure admired by viewers even though he only existed on screen. 2. The show's reruns, aired in prime time after it ended. You might think that once a show ends, it disappears from primetime television. But that wasn't the case with Father Knows Best. Even after the series officially ended in 1960, it continued to air in primetime reruns for years. The most notable instance was on November 22, 1963, the day President John F. Kennedy was assassinated, when many TV stations across the US were broadcasting the episode Man About Town from Father Knows Best. This highlights the show's enduring popularity, even as a rerun. Audiences loved it for its nostalgic and comforting vibe, especially during tough times. In fact, throughout the 1960s and 1970s, Father Knows Best was frequently rebroadcast on cable networks, making it one of the rare shows to maintain prominence long after its production ended. 1. Production costs, missing episodes, and a legacy. Did you know that each episode of Father Knows Best cost about $25,000 to produce? That might sound small compared to modern shows, but in the 1950s, it was a significant budget. The series had a total of 203 official episodes, but not all of them survived intact. Among these, 187 episodes retained their original runtime 26 minutes, while 15 were shortened 22.5 minutes to fit syndication requirements. Interestingly, one episode titled Margaret Goes Dancing, episode 170, aired in 1958, is believed to be missing. Some theories suggest that the original copy was lost, with only flashback clips of the episode appearing in later episodes. This mystery has kept fans curious, with many hunting for the legendary lost episode. Despite this, Father Knows Best remains one of the best preserved family shows, with most episodes still intact for future generations to enjoy. A remarkable legacy in American television history. Thank you for watching the video. Father Knows Best is not just a television show, but also a symbol of family values and American culture in the 1950s. Despite its surprising behind-the-scenes stories, the show has left a lasting impression across generations. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss other fascinating stories. See you in the next video.